Blinkety blink, flash, flash, flash. Blinkety blink, flash, flash, flash. Is that what your light show looks like? Well, that's what ours looked like and sometimes still does, but instead we do it on purpose. Hey everybody, this is Bart from The Sound Couple, and I'm excited to show you some Luminair action today. You see that in a lot of our videos. We're typically running that off the iPad, and I think perhaps to some of you it could be a mystery of like, well, how are they doing that? How is the iPad controlling their lights? Well, it's pretty simple, but the one little elephant in the room is that you need to learn some DMX, and that's true with any light that you're going to take control over, whether it's with Luminair, controller of other sorts, software or hardware. But today we're going to show you Luminair. We're going to get behind the scenes a little bit. I'm going to show you that DMX really isn't that bad, especially since it helps guide you through the process. The one thing it always does though is it takes time. Programming lights, there's just no other way around it. We're going to get you started, and then actually it's kind of fun once you get into it. So what do you need to use Luminair? Well, you need the software. Again, we typically run it on an iPad. You need the iPad or computer on a network. And I have it broken down really simple here so I can just show you the basic things and you can see that it's really no mystery. For our demo, we're going to be running it off the Mac. We have our Wi-Fi router. We have our NTEC ODE, and what that does is it interfaces with the router via Ethernet, and then from the NTEC ODE driver, we run out our DMX, our XLR cables, into a DMX supported fixture. Today's example, we're going to be using two Chauvet lights, our color palettes, and our 4-bar quad, each of which are DMX supported, which is very important to be able to control a light. So let's dive in. This will be fun, everybody. Let's show you Luminair and let's get programming these lights. Okay, you want to dive in and you want to get these lights working. Let's go, right? Well, yes, but hold on a second. First of all, you look at the screen, you go, there's nothing here. What is the first thing you need to do? You have to look at the manual. And I'm going to leave a definition of DMX in the description that I came up with that I think really helps explain a lot of this in a nutshell. So don't get too hung up on that. Just follow along. You'll hang in there. And I think it'll all start making sense. So first we're going to be focusing on the 4-bar quad. I have the manual here. And you need to select a mode that you want to work in. So in this case, the 4-bar quad has 3 different modes. There's 4-channel, there's 6-channel, and there's 19-channel. And what that allows for is like how much functionality you want the light to have in the mode. And typically, the higher the mode, the more stuff it'll do. So we're going to kind of go all in here, and we're going to run it in 19-channel mode. So we'll scroll down to our 19-channel. And here is all the things that this light will do. And you may look at this and go, oh my God, this just looks way too intimidating to me. Well, that's where Luminair makes it easier for us. What we'll do, now that we've decided we're going to run a 19-channel, we're going to go over to Luminair, we're going to import that fixture, and then it'll display a bunch of faders, and we can start moving. So the first thing you need to do is you need to start with assigning the first channel. In this case, we're just going to start with channel 1. Since we're running this in 19-channel mode, that's going to then take channels 1 through 19. When we add this fixture, we're going to assign this one a starting address of 20. And then I think we're going to run this in 6 channels, but let's not worry about that at the moment. Let's get the 4-bar quad in here. And Luminair is going to help us do that. We decided we're going to run in 19-channel mode. Here's Luminair. There's nothing here. We're going to go up and click on the plus button, and we're going to add a DMX fixture. We select that, and then we're going to select a profile. And what selecting a profile means is that Luminair is going to do most of the work for us. And that means they have preset templates for us to choose from. So we're going to go in here and we're going to type Chauvet. And here's a list of all of the Chauvet fixtures they have. So we have the 4-bar quad, and we are going to be running it in 19 channel mode. So we'll select that, and we're going to open it. I have on the back of the light, with the little buttons on the back of the light, I told it to say we're going to start with channel 1. So we're going to go next, and then it's asking how many would we like to add. Well, we're only going to add 1 fixture. If I had 2 of these, I could assign them together and they would both be starting with DMX 1 and they would just mirror each other. Press done, and that's it. Here is our fixture in Luminair. Okay, we got our fixture imported and there is still no light. What do we do? Well, this is where referencing the manual, well, you could start just throwing up faders on here and see, and that works sometimes, but let's be a little bit more smart about it. Let's look at what each fader does here. So fader number 1, which they call color mix, is our auto programs. And as we turn the fader up, the values change here. You can see there's values 0 through 9, 10 through 29. 0 through 9 have no function, 10 through 9 auto program 1, so on through the sound activate program, which starts at 250. The second fader is the dimmer, the third fader is the strobe, and then the 4th, 5th, 6th, and so on through 19 is the colors. And what's cool about Luminair is it takes all that stuff and kind of combines it all into a neat little package of faders, with each one of these faders here representing each of the lights here. Just looking at the list here, what do I think we should start with? I think we should start with turning up the dimmer, which is fader number 2, which is called the intensity. And then our other remaining faders for the colors are already all the way up. So let's bring it up, and there we go. We got some lights. Farther up we bring the fader, the brighter the lights get. Well, that's great. Let's bring that back down. Then we can go back to the one they call color mix, which is the auto program. 0 through 9 has no function. And what's nice is Luminair will start telling you which program you're in. So there it says auto program number 1. I don't see anything yet. Let's go up to auto program number 2. Well, I don't see anything there either. We forgot to do something here. Our intensity is at 0. Let's bring up our intensity. And there we go. And we got kind of this on auto program 2, we kind of got this slow blinking. Well, what happens if we want to increase that speed? Well, I bet you that's what the shutter strobe will do. Let's start bringing that fader up. And sometimes you need to like really push things to get it noticeably. If you're just testing things, sometimes I'll just push up the gas and see what happens. And there we go. So we know that's what that'll do. So that'll control the rate of all the programs. So we can just step through each program. There's program 3, 4, 5, 6. If we look back at our manual here, we'll see we got 12 auto programs. And so we just need to experiment with those and try out different ones. Let's go back, or let's get rid of our auto programs. Let's get rid of the strobe. Let's go back to our solid colors. Well, white is nice, but sometimes we want color. So what can we do to add some color? Well, if we click up here, this brings up our color wheel. And I believe that's the first one over there. We can just move that over and turn that into a red. We can go to the second one and we can turn that to blue. And we can go to the third one and we'll turn that to a green. And then the fourth one will go yellow. We got 4 different colors going there. Now if I grab the first fader and bring it down, that turns it off. Or actually it's fading it to black. That's what that's doing. So each fader has 2 colors technically. So what we could do is we could go and let's see, move this over to a red, and now, well, let's get let's do something a little bit different here, a green. And so now you see that, change that up here. So if we move this slider, it'll go from green back to the red and fade in between those two. Okay, so we're just setting up a basic 4 lights here. We like what we see, and now we want to save that so we can recall that for later. Before we move on, let's do a quick recap. When Luminair is launched, it'll bring up your first project. Within the project, then you add your fixtures, and the way you do that is through templates. And the templates are either set by Luminair in their cloud, or if it's not available there, you can always create your own template if you know a little bit about your light. From there, the next thing that I'm going to show you how to do is to create and save scenes. And scenes are where you're going to be working in most of your shows, just selecting the different scenes. And that's what Stacy does, and that's what I do when I'm running the lights. So let's save this here as our first scene. Just click on the scene. We can name it. You can add an image if you like. You can put a note. If you want that to show up in the icon, you can do that as well. And that is now our first scene. So let's add another scene. Now we can name this one. There's our second scene. We can change, now make some changes. We'll make that green. We'll bring the last one down. We'll change the color on this one. We'll make this pink. We'll slide that pink down into the slots here so we can recall that in the future. We'll bring that blue down just a little bit. That's our second scene. So if we click on the first one, it brings it back. Click on the next one, and it brings up the one we just created. And we can just go on from there. Now, the one thing you don't want to have happen is you don't want to be putting work into setting a scene and then have it overwritten. Well, Luminair's got you covered with that. And you can do that with a feature called lock. So if we right click and lock, it puts a padlock there. Now that scene is locked. If I try to change something, it'll tell me that it's locked. We can do that on the first scene. We'll lock that. And now both scenes are locked. Now we can go back and forth between them and not having to worry about accidentally changing anything with them. All right, before we add the color palette, I want to show you a couple things within the channel strip here. First of all, let's unlock our scenes. There's a couple different ways you can do it. You can right click on it if you're in the software on the Mac, or you can click on the 3 here, little buttons, and you can unlock it from there. Okay, how did we get to 19 channels on this light? That's what I want to show you. If you click on the first fader, you can change the name and see some other parameters, but if you click on the channels, you'll see that the first fader is channel 1. Click on the second fader, you'll see that that's channel 2. And on the third fader, you'll see that's channel 3. And then there's only 4 channels left, so that doesn't equal 19. I'll show you how it works. The first color fader is actually the combination of all of the colors available on this fixture. So the first fader is 4, 5, 6, and 7. The second fader is 8 through 11. The third fader is 12 through 15. And the fourth fader is 16 through 19. That is the power of Luminair. In our color wheel, it combines all of that so we can mix and match colors, and they put that all into one fader for us. That is awesome. Now it is time to add this one right here. Now looking at our channel strip, I'm guessing that the next, or we know, we're not going to guess, we know that this one is going to start at 20. And the great thing is Luminair will know the same thing as well. But before we add it, let's go back to the manual for this fixture and look at some of its characteristics. Now there's something more unique about this light, or different than this one. On this fixture, on the 4-bar quad, we set the DMX personality, so we set it to 19 channel mode. We set that on the back here through the menu on the actual light. On this fixture right here, on the color palette, that's set through a fader. And on this one, we're gonna do 6-channel mode. That is set on fader 1 when it's between the value of 60 to 79. What's cool is that there's a preset template for this light. We can select 6-channel mode and Luminair will take care of all that work for us. So let's go back over here to the software and let's add that light. We're gonna click on the plus. We're gonna select DMX fixture. We're gonna go back to the fixture cloud. Hopefully it'll get us close. There it is. It's got all the different supported channel modes. We're gonna go with the 6-channel mode, confirm it, and look at that. It knows we gotta start at 20 because that's the next available number. We're only gonna add the 1, and boom, there it is. Looking back at the channel here, it's already in 6-channel mode. It knows that the next one is no function. The next one is the strobe, and the last one is the color, and it defaulted to a color white. Bringing down the fader, there we go. We can go in here. We can select the pink one I just created. Turns it, well, that's about as pink as that one we'll get. And this light is done. Now, it does have some other features. It has some auto programs. So if we turn up channel 1, it'll bring up some of those so we can select one of those that we like. Put it back to 6-channel mode. And there we go. Now, this fixture is part of scene 1 with this color. If we go to the second scene, you can see that it left it alone. Okay, the next feature I wanted to show you is the sequence feature. And what the sequence features allow you to do is to cycle through your scenes. If we press sequence, we'll click add our first sequence, click OK. Click on the plus. We only got the 2 scenes, so we'll add both of those. We can go in here and change some parameters as well as other parameters. Just want this to be quick. Hit play. And it's just that easy. It's cycling between the 2 scenes that we have. To stop it, hit the play button again. It stops. We can go back to our controls, see all of our scenes, and go back to selecting our scenes. So speaking of scenes, when you're at the show, you're going to want to probably see all of your scenes in your screen. And really looking at the faders, this is all work that you're doing prior to the day of. To be able to help you with that, you can click on the little arrow button, and now you can bring up and fill your whole screen with your scenes. And then that'll also stop you from accidentally trying to go to a fader if we bump it. But remember, that's not going to be a problem because once you program your scene, you're going to lock it. And then the last thing that we want to do at the show is we want to be able to control with blackout and perhaps maybe the intensity. Typically, we run our lights at 100%, but there is the fader and there is the blackout button. Well, everybody, I could go on much longer and show you everything about Luminair. But the purpose of this video was to get you motivated, to make your light show more meaningful, to maybe get you to dive into DMX and really see that it's really not that bad, especially when you have a program like Luminair that's there to help you and kind of walk you through it. So if your light show is blinkety blink, flash, 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 blinkety blink, just remember, not only is that fatiguing for the musicians on stage, it's fatiguing for your audience. And to have one light that looks more meaningful because you're controlling it with the button, you're telling it what to do instead of that light just doing what it wants to do on its own without any type of purpose, is not helping you or your show. So that's all I got to say about that, everybody. Luminair, DMX, and your lights. And until the next time, I'm Bart with the Sound Couple, and we'll see you guys at the next show.